My name is Linda and I'm from Linda's Home Services, and today I'm going to show you how to make English pickles. These go very fast. Here in the United States we would call them bread and butter pickles. And the reason I'm showing you this kind of out of season is because pickles are crazy easy to grow, and I think once you see how quick and easy this is and how fast the turnaround is from doing this to the finished product, you will want to grow some of these English pickles in your garden. And you can make bread and butter pickles in the morning and have them for supper. So let's get going here. I've already started a little bit. These are considered English cucumbers. They're usually seedless. And I've already started cutting them because there were several to do, about 2 pounds of them. And I have to say I'm disappointed that these were billed as seedless, and usually when you get these ribbed ones they are seedless, and I'm disappointed from Trader Joe's that they are not seedless. Last week I got them from Aldi's and they were perfectly seedless. So but they'll be okay. I do have to say it says to slice them about 1/8 of an inch thick, and the thinner you go, the faster they will break down. If you make them thicker, more of 1/4 of an inch thick, they're just not going to be ready today. They'll be ready tomorrow or the next day, but they just won't be ready tonight. So I'm just finishing this one up here. This is a real quick process here now. We're going to slice these, and we're going to slice the onion. We'll sprinkle a little salt over that, and then we're just going to stick that in the fridge for several hours to let the salt pull out some of the moisture and put that salt flavoring into the cucumbers. We'll wash those really well, and then we will pour a brine over it, which is just sugar and vinegar. So this is very, very quick, very easy. There are no spices involved. You may spice them if you wish. One of the students, when we did these in culinary school, said, well, this isn't good enough for me. And she immediately set to slicing up some hot peppers and putting in some peppercorns, and they were absolutely delicious. So this is the base recipe. This is really plain, it's base, and you flavor it the way you want to. If you want to throw some pickling spice in there, throw some pickling spice in there. If you want to throw some garlic in there, throw some garlic in there. This is just a base recipe. So never use your knife to go, you will dull your knife. So I have a scraper here, and I'm putting these into a stainless steel bowl. You want glass or stainless steel. Never, ever, ever, when you're working with vinegar, use aluminum. It will draw that aluminum right out and put it into your food. And that's the last thing you want, because aluminum is one of the items in Alzheimer's that causes Alzheimer's. So now it again calls for slicing really thin. It's at two large onions. I'm not going to use 2 large onions. These are really large, and these circles would be way too big. So I'm just going to cut it like this. And one of the things when you cut it like this, it's going just to make it easier, because it's not going to roll anymore, to go ahead and make those little thin slices. And again, we're doing slices. If you wanted to, you could slice them again and slice it in half again, which I think I might do. These are just really, really big onions. You want a sweet onion. The recipe calls for white. Again, if you want red, that's up to you. The recipe calls for white. And the other thing that you might want to think about is Vidalia onions will be available soon. So you might want to think about a Vidalia onion to use in there. A nice, sweet onion. And the other thing I want to talk about is how fast the cucumbers actually grow. They grow about 50 days for these seedless cucumbers. And I'm in zone 4, almost zone 5. Sometimes they call us zone 5 here. And we still cannot plant cucumbers until June 1st. So you can start the seedlings inside. As I said, they're crazy easy to grow. So knife skills are not my forte, but I do the best I can, and you can do the best you can. My mom always threw all of this through the slicer when she made bread and butter pickles. She had a little hand crank slicer, and we would make up 30, 40, 50, 60 jars of bread and butter pickles in an afternoon. But now that I know how simple they are to make, I might just go ahead and make them as needed. The seedless cucumbers are available pretty much all year round. So, as I said, it called for 2 onions. I don't want 2 onions in with 2 pounds of cucumbers. So I used not even a full large onion. And I will put those in. If you have a mandolin and you're good at using a mandolin, go ahead and use a mandolin. I'm not good at using them, except the real expensive ones at the restaurants. And I'm not spending $200-300 on a mandolin that I don't use that often. So all I'm doing is mixing that up a little bit. I have a couple of tablespoons of salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle that in. What you could use for this is you could use, if you have a large glass bowl, you could use that in a large glass mixing bowl. This is actually the pot from my 7-in-1 Instant Pot. You could use your mixing bowl from your KitchenAid if you have a big one for that. You could also use a stock pot as your container to do this, because once this is soaked for a couple of hours, you can transfer them into jars and pour your vinegar over. So that's what I'm going to do. I just need a vessel to put it in and get out some of the moisture. And I don't know if you can see the glistening on my hand, but the water is being pulled out of the cucumbers already. And there's actually going to be juice down in the bottom of this real shortly here. So I don't want to mix it up too much. They'll start tearing because they're sliced pretty thin. This one's more like a 1/16 of an inch. This is a perfect eighth of an inch. As I said, if you have a mandolin that does 1/8 of an inch, that's great. This is more like 1/4 of an inch. These will be ready tomorrow. I'm going to have these ready for tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to set these into the fridge, and then we're going to make up our vinegar and sugar, warm that up a little bit, and then that has to cool off before it can be poured over this. Hi, I'm back, and I'm just going to put together the brine that's going to go over our pickles. And it's really simple. You have 3/4 of a cup of cane sugar. This is natural organic cane sugar that I bought from the health food store. Actually, I think I bought it from Aldi's. And then a cup of white wine vinegar. Again, I bought this at Aldi's. It wasn't very expensive. It was a good price. And you mix the two together. I'm using stainless. Remember, we talked about that. I'm using a stainless pot and stainless whisk. I'm just going to whisk the two together. And I'm going to put that on the stove, and I'm going to get it hot, let the sugar dissolve, turn it off, and let it cool off. So you don't want to pour hot over your pickles, although in canning you do that. But we're not going to use any aluminum or alum to crisp up our pickles, and you wouldn't want anything hot because then it's going to make your pickles too soft. So as I said, I'm going to put this on the stove, heat it up, let it cool off, and then I'll come back when it's time to pour it over our pickles. It's been a couple of hours, and we have been stirring this on occasion, as it said, and you can see all this liquid that's pulled out. And what happens with the salt is the salt will pull on, it will look for moisture and go into the cucumber and force salt in, pull moisture out. So that's how we're getting the salt into the cucumbers, and it pulls all this excess moisture out. But now we want to get the excess salt off. So we're going to take this and put it in our colander. And then we're going to just rinse it off really well here. And you can see how in just a couple of hours how soft that is. Almost see through it. Some of them you can't see through. And that's what we're looking for. Okay, let me grab this here. Get out the last ones here. So we're just rinsing off that excess moisture. And all that salt. Get a little taste here. I'm still a little salty. Not bad. While that's rinsing for another moment yet, here is the brine that we made. It doesn't make very much, but it will be okay. Okay, so we've got that rinsed well. And I buy these at our Walgreens, actually. You can get 100 in a box for about $4 when they go on sale. They sell them for diabetics, so they're made cheap for that reason. And I always keep a box in the kitchen. Mixing meat or something like that, and it's just really easy to get done and throw them away. You normally wouldn't have to wear a glove for something like this, but in a moment I'm going to be pouring this vinegar and sugar brine over and mixing it. So now this will sit for about 8 hours and it'll be ready to eat. And I've had this before. It's absolutely delicious. And like I said, if you wanted to add some hot peppers when you're salting it, you could add pickling spice, little peppercorns. But this is absolutely delicious. It tastes almost like bread and butter pickles that you have spent cooking and canning without all that hot work. Just make up enough for your family and friends. Give them away as gifts. Thank you for watching, and look on my website for the recipe. Hi, we put these in jars right away, and I just wanted to show you what this looked like in a jar. That 2 pounds, 2¼ pounds of English cucumbers or seedless cucumbers made about 2 quarts. And we'll just brine these for about 8 hours and they'll be ready to eat. So there you go. Have a great day.